Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthfication Chronicles, and I told you I'd try to get a second one done, but this it's going to come out in the morning, so you know, that's just the way it works. Anyway, this is going to be another one of those uncut ones. I just don't have the energy to edit it tonight, so I'm going to just wing it. Here we go. And I'm sorry for those of you who aren't familiar with my channel. I normally don't just do this. I normally edit everything, and so it's a lot less babbling. So I really apologize in advance for that. Anyway, we're going to start out with this article by the Washington Times because this is something I think y'all need to be aware of. I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Dice's channel. He has a YouTube channel that has about 1.4 million viewers, and he is a conservative. And he's having a battle right now with Wikipedia because Wikipedia is not allowing his entry to come up right. It is really kind of lying about him, so it's weird. First of all, remember this is the Washington Times, and Wikipedia claims the Washington Times is a fringe publication, which I think is kind of weird. So anyway, if you've not heard what's going on with Mark, it's really kind of sad, and it does seem like something out of George Orwell's novel. But, you know, he who controls the past controls the future. He who controls the present controls the past is a line known throughout the world by science fiction fans, but its lesson is very real for Mr. Dice. Wikipedia blocked him this week over a years-long debate on what his biography page should contain. Now, notice it says a year-long debate. They've been working on this. He's actually been working on this for a couple years, I think. In short, you know, what happened was they label him as a conspiracy theorist, and they said that he really has his career stalled in 2015. That's not true. I mean, he's doing very well. In fact, he did do kind of a change here in 2015 because that's when he transitioned over to more political things and less of the man on the street type interviews, which he was well known for. And it's really taken off because he's doing such a good job with it. And he points out such things that, you know, he does it in a very good way. Anyway, the pundit was the first conservative YouTuber to hit 1 million subscribers in May 2017. He was the first conservative to hit that. 1 million subscribers is huge. It really is. And that should be something that YouTube should be bragging about. Oh, look, you know, if they want to really present themselves as being unbiased, that would be a great start, you know, by acknowledging Mark Dice and that he's hit 1 million subscribers, and actually now he has like 1.4 million. So, and his daily videos also average 250,000 views. I'm not there yet. I have a long way to go before I hit that. But don't forget, my birthday's coming up in April, and I really would like to have you hit that subscribe button so I can hit 60,000. Okay? That would be really nice. Anyway, going on, he does have a couple of books that came out just recently. The True Story of Fake News, I think that was last year, and then Liberalism Find a Cure is the one that just came out this year or just a few months ago. Anyway, so it's really kind of crazy that they took those out of his Wikipedia page. They were removed from the page because there were no reliable sources that mentioned them as being significant. But yet, he does have, I mean, he was ranked on Amazon, you know, so with them. So I just don't get what they, you know, nothing is significant because it was from conservative sources. And evidently they do not consider conservative sources being significant. Anyway, they also claim that his subscriber count is not relevant because they may be manipulated. Okay, you know, I guess there are some unscrupulous people who hire people to, you know, hire trolls or whatever to go out and subscribe to their account. I see no purpose in doing that, and I'm pretty sure Mark has not done that. So his account, when you look at his subscriber count, it is valid. That is what he has. Those are real people. They are not bots. And I think this is what they're trying to imply, that anybody who has that many viewers, if you're a conservative, surely there are not that many conservatives who would be viewing any YouTube videos. But we know differently, right? We really do. There are a lot of us, and, some have over 100,000 subscribers. So there are many of us conservatives who are doing very well and who are gathering a lot of followers, subscribers, because we're telling you the truth instead of like the lies that you hear on CNN and MSNBC and all those others. And see, this is the problem that you have with Wikipedia. And this is why I hesitate when somebody says, well, Wikipedia says, oh, okay. I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, because Wikipedia has this program little thing called Magic Bot, and I believe it's spelled MAGIK bot. And it goes through and it looks at different Wikipedia entries, and if they're being changed back and forth often, or too often according to what it thinks, it will lock them. And then only the people in charge can unlock them and put them, and make it so that those people can edit it. So it really is much more controlled than a lot of people know. And that's why you see so much on Wikipedia that is not necessarily true. It's very liberal biased because the people who are running it are liberals. There is a Conservapedia, if you're not familiar with that, and conservapedia.com, I believe it is. So you can always try that. It's not nearly as big. It's not as comprehensive as Wikipedia yet. But, hey, if you're good at doing articles for Wikipedia, go over to Conservapedia and do a few, because I'm sure they would love to have the help. But anyway, so that's the situation going on. And yeah, the Young Turks, it mentions their subscriber count. I can't talk tonight. And, it's unfair. I mean, they're not doing the same thing. Look at this. He says, my book, The True Story of Fake News, was the number 15 bestseller of all books on Amazon and number 1 in this category for weeks. But the Wikipedia editors say it's not significant enough to mention on my page. That's crazy. I mean, it was number 15, a bestseller. And then they blocked him so he couldn't even engage in the discussion about it. It's just really crazy. So, as always, for those who don't know, I will put the links down below in the description. If you happen to be viewing this on like a cell phone or something, or a tablet or something that may not have the description automatically down below, there's usually like little dots or a little arrow or something that you can click, and it will bring up the description where you can then have clickable links that you'll be able to go to. So anyway, I'll put this down there. It's not a real long article, but it is interesting. There's Mark. And he's really trying to do his best for, conservatism, but they're really fighting him. And since he does have 1.4 million subscribers, it's, he's kind of like at the forefront of the battle. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. And then we have this tweet by George Papadopoulos. Now, for those who don't know, George Papadopoulos is kind of one of the central figures in this whole Russian collusion thing, because they tried to accuse him of having Russian ties and meeting with the Russians and things, and it's just simply not true. And he was kind of a lower level person in the Trump campaign. I don't even think Trump ever met him, but they've been trying to frame him, essentially. And so he says here, he's really trying to get the word out about what they've been doing to him. And he says, the calls for declassifying the documents that will out the 5 domestic and foreign intel agencies who targeted me and others is growing louder by the day. So we do need to see these documents declassified. There could be a reason behind why we haven't seen them yet, and that could have to do with Dan Coates, because there are rumors that he may be outed pretty soon, and he is currently the Director of National Intelligence, the DNI. I don't know what the situation is, and I know that there were a couple times when Dan Coates contradicted POTUS, especially in Helsinki, and that was not a cool thing to have happen. It was, it kind of put POTUS in a bad position because he knew what he was saying was true. And then Dan Coates kind of stood up for the intelligence, saying, well, Russia. So, I don't know. I'd like to think that Dan Coates is a good guy because he is from Indiana. He was our senator for several years. But I really have a bad feeling about him. Okay? So it could very well be that he's one of them that is holding up the declassification. That it might be what the deal is. And so maybe if he is removed, and there's a lot of scuttlebutt on Twitter. Let me go to that while I'm here. I did a search on Dan Coates, and on Twitter, CNN says that this confidant, whoever that may be, hints Intel Chief Coates may be fired. And so it's scuttlebutt at this point. I haven't heard anything really significant, but there's a lot of chit chat about it. And, maybe some of it's from each side. So who knows? I don't know if Dan is on his way out or what, but, it's just something that it's possible. It's possible that he is working for the deep state, or it's possible that he's not and he's being framed. I don't know. Here is a letter from the United States Senate, and it's actually from the Intelligence, Select Committee on Intelligence. And they wrote him and said, we are writing with regard to the classified reports required by the administration's Executive Order 13848 on foreign election interference in U.S. elections. And that executive order calls for executive agencies to prepare 2 reports following a U.S. election. The first, a threat assessment prepared by the Director of National Intelligence, and the second, a report by the Attorney General and Secretary of Homeland Security. Your office issued a statement in December announcing that you had submitted the intelligence community's report assessing threats to the 2018 midterm elections to the President and appropriate executive agencies, which is what that executive order said, and I've already dealt with that in a previous video, but you can look it up. You can just go to the White House website and look up that executive order 13848. And this month, the acting Attorney General and Secretary of Homeland Security announced they had submitted their joint report, because what was supposed to happen is he was supposed to submit a report, and then the acting Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security were supposed to submit a joint report evaluating the impact of any foreign interference on election infrastructure or the infrastructure of political organizations during the midterm elections, which they did, and there was timing on them. So the final report had to be presented to the President by February 4th, the day before the State of the Union, which is, I kind of hoped he would mention something in it, but there really wasn't anything in there, because the conclusion that they drew was that there was no significant foreign interference in our 2018 election. But that was 2018. So, but here what they want is, because they are the Select Committee on Intelligence, while the agencies provided brief, unclassified summaries of the report's findings, the Select Committee on Intelligence has not been provided either report. We request that you provide to all committee members and cleared staff both classified reports required by the EO 13848 as soon as possible. These reports are necessary for the committee to meet its mission and charter to conduct vigorous oversight over the intelligence and intelligence-related activities of the United States government. And they want a response no later than February 25th. So I think maybe this is where they're getting the idea that he's under the gun. And it's signed, it's signed by all of the people on the Intelligence Committee. Here are 3 of them, and then the other page is the rest of the signatures. So it is all, how many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 13, 14, 15. So there's 15 total on that committee. There are 8 Republicans and 7 Democrats. So they all signed it. They all want to have this report, or at least want to have some kind of report. Now, the Department of Justice website did do a short little summary press release on it, and I had that in a previous video. So it is out there, I mean, at least that part of it, but they want to have something with a little more classification, a little more guts to it, I guess. Anyway, so I wanted to show you that, and hopefully the declassification is going to happen, and that's going to play into it, and maybe that's why Dan Coates is kind of on the hot seat right now. Okay, and then we go to this one. This is from The Hill, and we get a quote from Elizabeth Warren. Officials have a duty to invoke 25th Amendment if they think Trump can't fulfill presidency. They are really trying, aren't they? The 25th Amendment. Saying that officials have a duty, I don't think that's quite the fact, In other words, she's defending McCabe, who on 60 Minutes said, yes, we thought that, that was something that was a possibility. Well, I don't think that's for the FBI to determine. I think that's the wrong people. And so anyway, I thought I'd share that with you, and there is a link here to the article if you want to read it. I hesitate bringing up The Hill because it tends to pop on automatically with the voice, and so while I'm recording something, it'll come on and start talking. Anyways, but you can get that there, and I will make sure the link's down below for you if you want to read the article. But it's just Warren defending, basically, they just think that Trump is crazy. And it's like, if this guy is crazy, let's be more crazy, because look what's happened. We're getting a wall. We've had a booming economy. Job market is way up, and unemployment is to its all-time lows for a lot of people. And it's just been incredible. And we're seeing a lot of turnaround with our economy and everything. And that gives people jobs. People have jobs. They can purchase more, and they can have better lifestyle, better quality of life. And, it's a win situation. Oh, and the tax refund or the tax cuts, we got more money in our paychecks. I mean, it is a win-win situation. So the idea that they're saying that he's not mentally competent, it's crazy. But yet they want to keep Ruth Bader Ginsburg in there. Yeah, let's keep her there, even though nobody's seen any pictures of her for a while. Anyway, so let's go on. Oh, by the way, well, I may deal with that in a different one, but there was an anon on 8chan that was saying how there are supposedly a picture of Ruth Bader Ginsburg that was supposed to be just a couple days ago, maybe at that closed door hearing or something. But they said weather reports, according to the weather report, it was not, the picture could not have been taken in that location at that time. So I don't know. I haven't had a chance to read it real well, but I thought I'd share that with you. Anyway, this is a very important thing. Now, Dan Bongino, I don't know if you ever listened to Dan Bongino, but he just does a really excellent job. Now, he doesn't know everything, I think, that's going on. He misses out on a few little details here and there. He's not quite sure of some things, but most of what he's saying is spot on. And he used to be a Secret Service guy, and he's worked in law enforcement for quite a while, so he understands the in and out of how it works. And he knows some of the procedures that they have to follow. And if you've ever listened to any of his podcasts, he basically goes through and shows how they did not follow procedure in many, many situations. So this was not a typical investigation of any kind, whether into Trump or into Hillary or any of that. none of it was typical. There were significant anomalies. Anyway, I also have Dan's podcast here. I've listened to that much of it. I didn't quite get the rest of it listened to, but the first part of it, the first half, is about the coup attempt. So if you want to listen to that, I'll have the link down below. He also has a channel on YouTube, and you can go there and watch or will listen. There's no video, but I think he's working on it, I've heard. Anyway, so that's from his, and he has the show notes here. So if he mentions any link, you can find that there. So it's, kind of nice to be able to listen to him and to see what he has to say. He always has a really good perspective. Unfortunately, I don't get to listen to him every day like I'd like to, but whenever I do, he really is in there. He's putting the pieces together well. And so it's very insightful. And if you follow Q, you'll see that what he's saying is exactly what Q's been saying all along, but he's not a Q follower as far as I know. And so he's a really good person to be able to, share that particular podcast with people that may not be accepting of the Q ideas. Because this is somebody who's separate from it, who's apart from it, and he's coming to the same conclusions. So I think it is significant. Anyway, so I'll put that down below so you can get that. But I think the statement that Trump says here, he quotes Dan Bongino, of course, but this is really significant that the President of the United States says he quotes this was an illegal coup attempt on the President of the United States. And he says true. And this was an illegal coup attempt. A failed coup attempt, but still an illegal coup attempt. And that's something that we need to be aware of and really understand the significance of the President of the United States saying that. So if you think these people are going to get away with it, they're not. They're not going to get away with it. They have been exposed. They're being exposed right now, and we're going to see more of it in the very near future. Here's an article by this website, American Greatness. And if you scroll down here, it's called Autopsy of a Dead Coup. And this was put out on February 17th, so it was just put out not too long ago. It's a good read. If you know what's been going on, if you've been keeping up with everything that's happening with the FBI, this will be like old news to you because you already know it. But if you have people who aren't really sure, or if you're new to maybe waking up to what's going on, what's really going on, you might want to read through this because this lays it all out in a very logical fashion and shows how, exactly what the coup is about and what they've been doing. The illegal effort to destroy the 2016 Trump campaign by Hillary Clinton campaign's use of funds to create, disseminate among court media, and then salt among high Obama administration officials, a fabricated opposition smear dossier failed. And so, yeah, they did. They failed. They've been trying everything. They're desperate, and they are running out of ammunition. They're running out of any way to combat this because the truth is starting to get out, and they don't. It's like Pandora's box, Pandora's box is being opened, and they can't stop it. So it will continue until it is all going to be out there, and they will not be able to avoid it. So I'll leave this down below if you want to read it. Again, if you already know what's been going on, like if you watch Hannity regularly, or if you listen to Bongino, you probably already really understand this. But if you haven't been, if you're kind of new to the concept, if you still think that, it's not really what they're painting it to be, it's not really a coup, it was just the FBI trying to look out for the American people, you need to read this because this will lay it all out for you. Okay? And let's look at this. Now, this is a blast from the past, okay? This is actually from 2016, and I apologize for this great big block up here at the top. It has to do with how the ads work, but in order to bump it up so people can see it, it does this. But Google staffers have had at least 427 meetings at the White House over course of Obama presidency, average more than one a week. Let that sink in. Google staffers have had meetings at the White House and averaging more than one a week. Isn't that something? And again, I said this was from April of 2016. The White House's close relationship with Google was highlighted in data published Friday. Records show 169 Google employees met with 182 government officials. Google's top lobbyist paid 128 visits to the White House since 2009. Of course, Google is a frequent guest, company responded in statement. And they admitted it, like I said. But it's very interesting looking back at this and then with what we know now about how Facebook just kind of handed over all of our data to the Obama administration, or the Obama campaign, I should say. And, you can read through this, but this is something, the Google employee with the most visits is the company's head of public policy, Joanna Shelton, who paid the White House 128 visits. And it just is really kind of creepy that they had this much contact with people from Google. And if you look here, it says Friday's report in The Intercept came a week after Obama announced his support for a Federal Communications Commission plan that would make it easier for pay TV customers to buy their own set-top boxes. A plan which an AT&T executive blasted as a Google proposal. So, I guess lobbying works. Anyway, again, that was from, Obama's administration. But I did want to point that out to you and give you a little bit of review on that, because Google has been messing around with a lot of things. And since Google owns YouTube, does it surprise me that my numbers this past week were kind of bizarre? No. No, it doesn't. So I just wanted to show you that. I mean, I knew about it, but I came across it again and I thought, it's a good refresher. Remember these things, folks. Remember these things. Okay, I've got the Coates thing here. I think I have everything I need. Oh, one more. Yep, I got one more here. This is from the Daily Caller. And this is a list of hoax hate crimes in the Trump era. And yeah, this was put out on the 18th, which is today at this point where I'm recording this. And it gives a whole list of times that there was a hate crime, and it was trying to target Trump supporters, and it turned out to be a hoax. There's not just one. There's lots of them, folks. Lots of them. Now, not all of them occurred after, I think November 2016. It could have been after the election. I can't remember the exact timing on some of these. But yeah, they just went crazy when Trump was elected. So I'll leave this down below because I think this is kind of eye-opening when you start looking at this. There's just so many of them. And this, people just did this to, I don't know, to make it look like Trump people were doing this. I just, boggles my mind that people would do this kind of stuff. But, they write stuff. The student later admitted to writing himself. They're the ones that are doing it just to make us look bad. I don't. Yeah. I know that people do this kind of stuff. I understand that they do. But, and of course, here's the Covington catastrophe. We all know that and remember that. So there's a big article on that one. But there are more down below it too. And that's all. But yeah, there's a couple bonus ones after that. So again, I will leave the link down below. And, I do understand people do this kind of stuff. It just, I would never do anything like this. I just never would. I don't know anyone who would. And let's not forget this. Again, another blast from the past. Let me bump it up a little bit. This is from June 20th, 2017. Don't know if you heard about this, but pro-Trump supporter Tony Foreman was right in the middle of a recent protest in Cathay where emotions ran hot over the sanctuary city controversy, but nothing like the violence that's left Foreman now fighting for his life. And so, yeah, this was quite a thing. He was stabbed several times. I think 7 times, was it? But yeah, he was in intensive care Wednesday night. Oh, after being stabbed 9 times. Yeah, he was stabbed 9 times. But did you see this on the news? No. This wasn't on the news. Why not? Because he was a Trump supporter. And he was stabbed by people who were not from the left. So, yeah, it was, it's definitely a hate crime. But you're probably not going to get anything about it because he was a Trump supporter. So anyway, that's what I've got for you, and it would be really great if you would click that subscribe button. It does help me out because the algorithm they use is supposed to take into consideration how many subscribers you have and how many thumbs up you have, and let's see how many views you get. So the more views I get, the more subscribers I have, the more thumbs up I get. It ends up putting my videos more up in front so they're more visible to people, and that means the truth gets out to more people. And really, that is my goal. I want to make sure people are hearing a lot of these things because you're not going to see them on the mainstream media. So let's get the word out there to everybody, and hang in there, folks, because this week I think we're going to see some things start happening. Remember, Nunes said that as soon as Barr got in, he was going to present him with some recommendations for criminal charges. And I think with McCabe out there, McCabe sounded to me desperate. I mean, I think he's out there hawking his book because he needs money, and he knows he's going to need money because he's in for a major lawsuit. We already know he's being investigated by a grand jury. I mean, that's public knowledge. So I think it's going to be more than that. And before this is over, I'm pretty sure that several of those FBI guys are going to be imprisoned because of it. They're going to be facing some serious charges. I also think probably that some of the DOJ from Obama's administration may also be involved in that. And so it's all starting to unravel. Think of it as dominoes. It may start out kind of slow, but boy, once it starts going, there's not going to be any stopping it. And that's exactly what we're going to watch happen. I don't know when the declass is going to happen. I hope it happens soon. It could be that Dan Coates is the one that's holding it up. I don't know who's holding up. I really don't. But it's going to happen. And Huber is at work, hard at work, but it's just there are no leaks. And so the word is not getting out. And this is something that the deep state has never encountered before. Because with them, there always were leaks. Always. And so no leaks. Anyway, that's what I've got for you tonight. And I want to thank you for stopping by. And I'll see y'all later.